An LNG ship, liquefied natural gas ship, is a type of specialized vessel designed to transport liquefied natural gas, LNG, in large quantities across oceans. LNG is natural gas, primarily methane, that has been cooled to a liquid state at negative 162 degrees Celsius, negative 260 degrees Fahrenheit, to reduce its volume by around 600 times, making it more efficient for transportation. LNG ships are equipped with highly insulated tanks that maintain the extremely low temperatures needed to keep the LNG in liquid form during transit. Key characteristics of LNG ships. Tank design. LNG ships feature cryogenic tanks made of insulated materials that can withstand extreme cold and prevent the LNG from warming up and returning to gas form. The tanks can be membrane type, a thin layer of steel, Moss type, spherical self-supporting tanks, or Type C, pressure vessels. Each type of tank is designed for efficient storage and safety. Size and capacity. LNG ships can vary significantly in size, with capacities typically ranging from 125,000 to 266,000 cubic meters of LNG. The larger vessels, such as Q-Flex and Q-Max, are among the largest LNG carriers, with a capacity of up to 266,000 cubic meters. Propulsion. Most LNG ships use dual-fuel engines that can run on LNG itself or on marine diesel to provide power during the journey. This allows the ships to be more energy efficient and environmentally friendly. Loading and unloading. LNG ships are designed for the loading and unloading of LNG at specialized terminals. At the export terminal, the LNG is loaded into the tanks, while at the import terminal, the LNG is regasified, converted back to gas, for use by consumers. These ships have high-tech equipment for gaseous boil-off, small amounts of LNG turning back into gas during transit, which is usually used to fuel the ship's engines. Main shipping routes for LNG ships. The main shipping routes for LNG ships are determined by the locations of LNG production and consumption around the world. These ships are primarily used to transport LNG from countries that produce large amounts of natural gas to markets where demand is high, especially in regions with less local natural gas production. Middle East to Asia, ports. LNG is exported from the Qatar, Oman, UAE, and Saudi Arabia to major Asian markets, including Japan, China, South Korea, India, and Taiwan. Commodities. LNG, produced from the abundant natural gas reserves in the Middle East, is shipped to East Asia, where countries are highly dependent on imported LNG for power generation, heating, and industry. United States to Asia and Europe. Ports. LNG exports from the United States, especially from facilities along the Gulf Coast, such as Houston, Sabine Pass, and Cove Point, are shipped primarily to Asia, especially Japan, China, and South Korea, and to Europe, especially Spain, France, and the UK. The US has emerged as a major exporter of LNG, driven by the shale gas boom. This has led to an increase in LNG shipping from the US to Asia and Europe. Russia to Europe and Asia. Ports. Russia, through its Yamal LNG project in the Arctic, exporting from Sabeta Port, is a significant player in LNG production. Russian LNG ships transport gas to both Europe, e.g. France, Italy, Germany, and Asia, e.g. China, Japan. Russia is increasing its LNG exports to diversify its markets, especially as it competes with other producers like the United States and Qatar. Australia to Asia. Ports. Australia is one of the largest producers of LNG, with major export terminals such as those in Western Australia, e.g. Barrow Island, Gladstone. These terminals ship LNG to China, Japan, South Korea, and India. Commodities. Australian LNG is increasingly important in meeting the growing demand for energy in East Asia. Africa to Europe and Asia. Ports. Nigeria, Mozambique, and Egypt are key exporters of LNG to both Europe and Asia. These African nations have invested heavily in LNG production, with export terminals such as Nigeria's Bonny Island and Mozambique's projects supplying markets in Europe and the growing Asian energy markets. Canada to Asia and the United States. Ports. Canada is developing LNG export facilities, such as those at Kitimat, aimed primarily at Asian markets, especially Japan and China. Commodities. Canada's LNG is increasingly targeted to serve Asian demand for cleaner energy. Key considerations in LNG shipping. Safety. LNG is highly flammable and requires strict safety protocols. LNG ships are built with safety features such as double-hull designs to prevent spills and advanced leak detection and containment systems to deal with any emergencies. Environmental regulations. LNG is often seen as a cleaner alternative to coal and oil because it emits less carbon dioxide, CO2, and sulfur dioxide, SO2, when burned. As a result, the use of LNG is increasing globally, especially in countries transitioning to cleaner energy sources.